मंगलमय मंगलकरण वीतराग विज्ञान नमो ताहि जाते भये हरिहंतादि महान करि मंगल करि हो महा ग्रंथ करन को काज जाते मिले समाज सब पावे निज पद राज। आचार्य कल्प पंडित प्रवर टोडरमल जी, मोक्ष मार्ग प्रकाशक जी ग्रंथ, and we were on to the 8th chapter, removal of misconjectures about exposition, different types of exposition. So we have covered 3 expositions so far: Pratmaniyog, Karnaniyog, Charnaniyog. Today we will start the discussions with Dravyaniyog. Okay, so you only read Subha.
Jai Jinendra Ji.
Jai Ji.
Removal of misconjectures about Dravyan Yoga. Many jivas say that in Dravyan Yoga, the inferiority of vows, continence, etc., conventional religion, Vyavhara Dharma is shown. A true believer's indulgence in carnal pleasures, etc., is stated to be the cause of nirjara, shedding of karmas. By listening to such statements, the jiva will become unrestrained by giving up virtuous activities and adopting sinful acts. Therefore, reading and listening to the Shastra is not desirable. Answer. Though a donkey may die by eating sugar candy, yet the human beings will not give up eating sugar candy. Similarly, if a person with perverse understanding becomes unrestrained by listening to spiritual Shastras, then the judicious persons will not give up study of spiritual Shastras. What is necessary is that if someone seems to be becoming unrestrained, he should be discoursed in such a manner by which he would not become unrestrained. Moreover, in spiritual Shastras also, at several places, unrestrained behavior has been contradicted. Therefore, the one who listens to them attentively does not become unrestrained. But by listening to one aspect, if one becomes unrestrained due to his misunderstanding, there is no fault of Shastra. His own fault is there. And if by imagining false faults, reading and listening of spiritual Shastras is contradicted, then by such contradiction, the liberation path is contradicted. Because therein lies the basic preachings about the path of liberation. For example, most of the jivas are benefited by rains, and if someone is armed, then by giving importance to it, one should not contradict rains. Similarly, most of the jivas are encouraged to follow the path of liberation, but contrarily, if somebody indulges in sinful acts, then giving prominence to it, one should not contradict the study of spiritual shastras.
Stop. So the first argument, the first question in fact, was that generally in Dravyanyog we see that inferiority of vows, continents, etc., conventional religion, Vyavhar Dharma, is shown. Okay, because in Dravyanyog the prominence is of uh, practicing signs of discrimination. So all these body activities are considered to be inferior, or it is not discussed over there. Okay, there everything is discussed about the soul. What is soul, how it functions, what are the things that a soul can do and what it cannot do. All these things are part of Dravyan Yoga. So in Dravyan Yoga, the inferiority of vows, continents, that is conventional religion, is shown. Okay, that is true. A true believer's indulgence in carnal pleasures. So one is that one, and the second one is that a true believer's samyak drashti, indulgence in carnal pleasures, is stated to be a cause of nirjara. Okay, so now how can indulgence in carnal pleasure could be a cause of nirjara? Okay, but in Dravyanyog, Such statements are made to show the importance of right belief. Okay, and you have to understand it that way, that indulgence in carnal pleasures always binds karma, but along with that bondage, there is a purity that a true believer has. Okay, and because of the purity of that true believer, there is shedding of karmas happening because of that purity. And the pleasures that he enjoys, carnal pleasures that he enjoys, with them there is a bondage, but that bondage is of so small nature that it is not considered while we are making statements from the viewpoint of a soul. Okay, so by listening to such statement, the jiva will become unrestrained. Okay, by giving up virtuous activities and adopting sinful acts, means it will become swachand. It will behave on its own. It will not follow the conduct as prescribed by the Charnan Yoga Shastra. Therefore, reading and listening to these shastras mean the Dravyan Yoga Shastra is not desirable. This is the argument, or this is the doubt that has been raised in this question. Okay. Now the answer. Though a donkey may die by eating sugar candy, yet the human beings will not give up eating sugar candy. Okay. So those who have not proper understanding, they will only believe that uh, by indulging in carnal pleasures, the true believer's karmas are settled. Only a wrong believer. The people who understands it correctly will not believe so. And the inferiority of woes continents are shown in Dravyan Yoga. Okay, so a person who understands the Dravyan Yoga properly, he knows that from what perspective this is being said. Okay, so as a donkey may die by eating sugar candy, so it does not mean that human being will also stop eating sugar candy. Similarly, if a person with perverse understanding, wrong understanding, becomes unrestrained, swachand, by listening to spiritual shastras of Dravyan Yoga, then the judicious persons will not give up study of spiritual shastras. Okay. So, from what is being said, from what perspective it is being said, is very important to comprehend the correct meaning of the interpretations of scriptures. Okay. What is necessary is that if someone seems to be becoming unrestrained, he should be discoursed in such a manner by which he would not become unrestrained. Okay. So Acharya knows all these tactics. Okay. And when somebody comes up to them personally, then they advise accordingly. But while writing the Shastras, when they are writing the Shastras, they are writing from a particular perspective. And that perspective we have to understand the correct meaning of the scriptures. Moreover, in spiritual Shastras, also at several places, so spiritual Shastras means Adhyatmic Shastra, where the prominence of soul is glorified. Okay. So, moreover, in spiritual shastras also, at several places, unrestrained behavior has been contradicted, has been condemned, has been advised not to do that way. Okay. Time and again they have warned. Therefore, the one who listens to them attentively, the main problem is that people don't listen to them attentively. If you listen attentively, you will be knowing all the perspective from which it is being said. And from that perspective, it is absolutely correct. There is no contradiction as such. Therefore, the one who listens to them attentively does not become unrestrained, but by listening to one aspect. Now, again, here is the problem. By listening to one aspect, if one becomes unrestrained due to his misunderstanding, there is no fault of Shastra. His own fault is there. Okay. And if by imagining false false. The reading and listening of spiritual Shastra is contradicted, then by such contradiction, the liberation path is contradicted. Because therein lie the basic preachings about the path of liberation. Okay. So we cannot avoid those statements in Dravyanyug Shastra. For example, most of the jivas are benefited by rain. But if someone is harmed, then by giving importance to it, one should not contradict rains. Okay. So many people are benefited by these spiritual shastras. Okay. So if somebody becomes unrestrained, then that does not mean that we will stop reading and listening to spiritual shastras. Okay. So the example given, like farmers are happy if the rain comes, but the potter is unhappy because his business will be stopped. Okay. So if someone is being harmed, then by giving importance to it, one should not contradict rains. Similarly, most of the jivas are encouraged to follow the path of liberation. But contrarily, if somebody indulges in sinful acts, then giving prominence to it, one should not contradict the study of spiritual shastras. Okay. So there are always exceptions to everything, and we cannot base our principle on the basis of exception. We have to move according to the general or the prominency of the fact. Okay. So if one becomes if one indulges by listening to spiritual shastras in sinful activity, then that does not mean that we have to contradict the study of spiritual shastras. Okay. So here up to we have read. Now further, Rajeshri ji, you can read.
Further, one may become unrestrained by listening to spiritual shastras. But earlier also, he was a false believer, and now too he may remain a false believer only. The only harm would be that he may not get birth in good state of existence and may get birth in a miserable state of existence. But if spiritual discourses are not given, then many jivas are restrained from attaining the pure path of liberation. And this results in great harm to most of the jivs. Therefore, one should not contradict the spiritual discourses. Further, many jivs say that the spiritual discourses found in Dravyanu Yoga are of very high order, and so it is useful for persons of higher spiritual stages. But the persons found in the lower state should be discoursed to adopt practice of vows, continence, etc. only. Answer. In Jinnah's faith, the tradition is that first of all, right belief is attained, and afterwards vows, etc. accepted. The right belief is attained on acquiring the faith of self, non-self, and that faith is acquired by the study of Dravyanu Yoga. Hence, first one should become a true believer by generating faith in accordance with Dravyanu Yoga, and afterwards he should become a votary by accepting the vows, etc., according to Charnanu Yoga. Thus, primarily, in the lower stages, only Dravyanu Yoga is useful. Only secondary, if it seems that someone is not capable of attaining right path of liberation, then he is discoursed to follow vows, etc. Therefore, believing that the study of spiritual shastras is desirable for persons of higher spiritual stages. Persons of lower stages should not avoid the study of Dravyanu Yoga. Shall I continue, sir?
Yes.
Question. The nature of sermons of higher order is not grasped by persons of lower stages. Answer. It is not desirable by such persons to plead ignorance. Here who exhibit great capacities in other activities. The true nature of Dravyanu Yoga can be properly perceived by constant study. It may be that one is able to grasp in smaller or greater measure, according to his level of intelligence. But if someone supports avoidance of such study, then it amounts to being envious of Jain faith.
Stop. So the first was that if someone gets unrestrained by reading the spiritual shastras, then it does not make a big difference, because earlier also he was a false believer and now too he remains a false believer. Only difference would be that if he is indulging in sinful activities, he may land up in hell. And if he is studying religious scriptures, then he may attain some good state of existence. Okay. But the difference is that it doesn't make a big difference, because earlier also he was a false believer and now he's also a false believer. So that does not going to change. But if we restrict the reading of spiritual shastras, many people will not get benefit of it. So it is not advisable to avoid the spiritual shastras just based on that somebody got unrestrained, so it should not be read. That should not be the case. And in worldly existence also, if you would see that those people who are not able to strike a balance, they just give their opinion based on some part of it which is very negligible compared to the big picture that is being shown. They ignore that and they pick up that small part which was very negligible, and based on that he gives his judgment. So these are the people with false belief. Okay. Further, many jivas say that the spiritual discourse found in Dravyana Yoga are very high order, so it is useful for person of higher spiritual stages. But the person found in the lower state should be discoursed to adapt practices of vows, continence, etc. only. So that means he is recommending that the people of lower stage should practice Charnan Yoga, and people of higher stages can indulge in Dravyan Yoga. That is the question. Answer. In Jina's faith, the tradition is that first of all, right belief is attained. So when you do any activity of Charnan Yoga, after achieving right belief, then only it makes sense. But if you have not manifested right belief and if you are following very deep activities of Charnan Yoga, then it doesn't make any difference. Because in the first place, first delusion should go, and then the unrestrained, then the restrained will go. Okay. So first the delusion has to go, and to get rid of delusion, we have to read Dravyan Yoga from the beginning itself. Okay. So first of all, right belief is attained and afterwards woes are accepted. This is the general tendency. But having said that, a certain level of Charnan Yoga is always there in the life of a seeker. Okay. By one who is a true seeker, he automatically follows the Charnan Yoga activities also. Okay. So it is not that people who read Dravyan Yoga, they don't follow Charnan Yoga. Only thing is that you have to strike a balance between Dravyan Yoga and Charnan Yoga, and then you are fine and good to progress in the path of spiritual liberation. The right belief is attained on acquiring the faith of self, non-self. Okay, that is again a practice of science of discrimination, and that faith is acquired by the study of Dravyan Yoga only. Hence, first one should become a true believer by generating faith in accordance with Dravyan Yoga, and afterwards he should become a votary by accepting the vows. Okay. Votary means the one who follows the vows are called votary according to Charnan Yoga. Thus, primarily in the lower stages only, Dravyan Yoga is useful. And that's why we see that Pujya Gurudev Sri Kanji Swami, he uh, he advocated Bhagwan Atma for 45 years, because he knows that once if he believes that he is a true God, then the activities and the conduct will change automatically. So he laid emphasis on Dravyan Yoga most of the time. So that's why Samaisar was discussed in the General Assembly 19 times. 19 times. Can you imagine? Not one time, two time, 19 times. and each time it would take 500, 600 lectures to complete. So it would go on for 1.5 years to 2 years one time, and that too happened 19 times. So it is almost 40 years he preached only Samay Sar only. And then of course Pravachani are also there. He did that 5 times. Then there are other scriptures. In total, he read around 375 books in the assembly. Okay. 3 times a day the lectures were happening. One in the morning, one in the afternoon, and the evening. All the question answer sessions were conducted. Yeah. You wanted to ask something, Sashikala ji?
Think, sir, by mistake I touched.
Okay, okay, no problem,
Thank
no
you,
problem,
thank you.
no problem. Okay. Therefore, believing that the study of spiritual Shastra is desirable for persons of higher spiritual stage, persons of lower stage should not avoid the study of Travyanyam is not correct. Okay, even the lower stage people should also read Dravyanyog and first manifest the right belief. And then when you manifest the right belief, automatically the level of passion, Anantanubandhi Kashaya also goes off. And so that much Vitrakta has already been manifested. And to that level, there will always be a proper conduct happening simultaneously. So Dravyanyog and Charnanyog complement each other. They go hand in hand. Okay. So it is not that both have different style of presenting. But as far as the balance is concerned, there is always a correct balance between Dravyanyog and Charnanyog for a true seeker. The question: the nature of servants of higher order is not grasped by persons of lower stages. It is not desirable by such persons to plead ignorance here. Ignorance cannot be an excuse, okay? Who exhibit great capacities in other activities, okay? So in other activities, you are so much of an expert, and when it comes to religion, you say that I don't understand this, I don't understand that, okay? So that is not correct. The true nature of Dravyanyog can be properly perceived by constant study. I want to highlight this particular word, constant study. Okay. So we are conducting class 2 hours a week. Okay. Maybe hours is a 2.5 hours a week, but you should study it every day. Every day. And Pujya Gurudev Sri Kanji Swami used to propagate that at least 2 to 4 hours study you should do every day. If right belief is your target, if liberation is your target, then you should do study in such a manner. And once you get interested, automatically that you find times to pursue those spiritual studies, it gets automatically, you find all the time to do those such things when you develop an interest. Okay. But so far you don't develop an interest, then you can just get into some sort of study groups like our study group on a daily basis. Okay. So you can do that also. Many students are doing that way only. So they find somebody in the group and they both study every day together. Maybe half an hour, no problem. At least you are in touch with Jinwani. So if the continuity is maintained, then it brings a very fast transformation in ourselves. Okay. So this word constant study you should highlight. Okay. Can be properly perceived by constant study, continuous study. It may be that one is able to grasp in smaller or greater measure according to his level of intelligence. But if someone supports avoiding of such study, then it amounts to being envious of Jaina faith. That is not proper. Okay. So someone is able to grasp in smaller or greater measure according to his level of intelligence and according to the eligibility of the moment. Tat samay ki yogyata. Okay. These both factors makes the difference. So we cannot compare one person with another person. Each has got his independence. Each has got his own level of intelligence. Each has got his own level of efforts. Each has got his own level of capacity. So you cannot compare two persons. Okay. Now the question. The whole page you can read and then we will discuss. So Priyanka, you read.
Jai Jinendra sir.
Yeah.
The time now is bad. Therefore, the highest spiritual sermons should not be given prominently. Answer. The present time is bad from the viewpoint of non-attainment of liberation directly. But in the present time, attainment of right belief through self-realization, etc., is not forbidden. Therefore, for self-realization, etc., one must study Dravyanyug. The same is stated in Shat Pahuda or Moksha Pahuda, meaning, even today, the jiva is purified by evolution of three jewels, that is, right belief, knowledge, and conduct, get birth in heavens through meditation on self soul, and also attain godhood in Lokantic heaven. After completing the heavenly duration, they attain liberation through one birth in human male body. Therefore, in this era, also there should be prominence of discourses of Dravanyog.
Continue.
Question. Spiritual Shastras are a part of Dravyaniyog. In such Shastras, discourses are given about the discriminative knowledge of the self, non-self, etc. This is very useful and also easily understandable. But that the description of substance attribute, modifications, etc., and of Praman, comprehensive knowledge viewpoint, Nyais, partial viewpoints, and the refutation of the tattvas mentioned in the other non-Jaina faiths is also found. By the study of these shastras, various types of notions and thoughts arise, and their knowledge is acquired after great efforts. Hence, one should not study them. Answer. Knowing something in detail is more effective than knowing it in general. More and more one goes into details, greater and greater clarity and purity about the nature of the substances is attained. Faith becomes firm, attachment, etc. are reduced. Therefore, it is justifiable to study these Shastras. Thus, by misconjectures about all four Anuyogs, one should not be averse towards their study.
Yeah, stop. So they said that the time is bad now. Okay. So the present time is not bad for us, at least, because we have got all the connections that we require to get into the path of liberation by manifesting right belief. Everything is available. We have got so much of scriptures, and there are so many scholars available to teach you, and we have got all sorts of resources here to pursue our spiritual journey. Okay. And maybe 300 years ago, when this book was written, there was no such discussions happening at that point of time, during Todarmalji's time. But now with the advent of Swamiji, we have got enough of this. And before Swamiji, Srimadji also did in his own way, something for the masses by writing the Atma Siddhi and Apurva Usar and other poems, So some part was exposed by him, and then Swamiji exposed the whole Dravyan Yoga and particularly Samaisar Shastra in a great manner, that today we feel so lucky, so fortunate that we are having such kind of facilities as was available in the fourth era. This is the fifth era, and we are now on decreasing time. But the kind of associations that we have got, we can definitely say that we are better off than the fourth era. In earlier times, you have to work for your livelihood. Now there is a facility that you can put money in banks, fixed deposits, and you don't have to work for money. That facility is available now. In earlier times, it was not that. Everyone used to work, So we have got good associations from all sides, and this is the best time to uplift ourselves spiritually and manifest right belief. So the time is bad from the viewpoint of getting liberated, but not the bad time for getting right belief through self-realization. So same is mentioned in Shat Paud, Moksha Paud. Even today, the jiva is purified by evolution of three jewels: right belief, knowledge, and conduct, get birth in heavens through meditation on self, soul, and also attain godhood. Godhood means the celestial being in lokantic heaven. After completing the heavenly duration, they attain liberation through one birth in human male body. And one day I also discussed one thing, that you can get liberated in the next birth itself. You don't have to go to heaven. From here, you can go to directly to Mahavidya Kshetra. There are Tirthankars always available, and there you can go and get liberated in the same birth. So it could be so fast. Okay. So don't underestimate the opportunity that you have got, and don't underestimate your potential. Believe in yourself that I can also become God. All those circumstances may not be good right now, but these are all temporary phenomena. It will go away. And if you have the conviction, if you have the determination, if you have the effort, if you are putting the right effort, you will definitely get liberated very soon. In fact, the the time that we are going through, it's of course a bad time from outside. For us, it is a very good time. But if we consider from outside also, the kind of associations that we have got, it clearly indicates that we are going to get liberated very soon. Otherwise, these things would have come to us. The kind of understanding that we are developing, the kind of resources that are available, and the kind of discussions that we are doing, it's all absolutely out of context only. Okay. So we are in a very better position now. So make the most of this opportunity. Therefore, in this era also, there should be prominence of discourses of Dravyan Yoga. So Dravyan Yoga will always find good response anywhere, because it directly connects you to your soul. Okay. Another question. Spiritual shastras are a part of Dravyan Yoga. In such shastras, discourses are given about the discriminative knowledge of the self, non-self. This is what we have to practice. Discriminative knowledge of self and non-self. Two things absolutely different, no connections, but because of delusion, we believe as one. So now we have to remove that false belief or delusion just by understanding the scriptures as they are given. This is very useful and also easily understandable. But there the description of substance, attributes, modification, etc. So for understanding any substance, we have to understand it from the perspective of substance, attributes, and modification, and of Praman Gyan. Praman Gyan is comprehensive knowledge viewpoint, and Nayas are partial viewpoints. Okay. So these are the two tools. Praman and Nay are the two tools to understand the soul through its substance, attributes, and modification. Then there are other ways also to know. You can know a substance from the perspective of its Dravya, Kshetra, Kal, Bhav. Dravya is substance, Kshetra is space, Kal is time, and Bhav is disposition. Okay. From that angle also you can understand the substance. Then there is a third methodology also, and that is called Utpad Vyay Dravya. Utpad Vyay means evolution and extinction of modification. So modification are of one moment. So every moment a new modification rises and the old modification gets extinct. This is called Utpad and Vyay. And having said that, simultaneously the substance remains unmoved, dhruv, uninfluenced, dhruv, unchangeable, dhruv. So it's like that. So we have three ways to understand a substance: from the viewpoint of substance, attributes and modification; from the viewpoint of substance, space, time and disposition; and the third is from evolution, extinction and constant. Okay, so these three are the methodology to understand a substance, and if you understand from these three perspectives, you will have the comprehensive knowledge of that particular substance. Okay, so these are the tools, praman and nice, and the refutation of the tattvas mentioned in other non-Jain faith is also found. Okay, so if you understand it this way, you will find enough logic, to discard the wrong beliefs that are prevalent in some other faiths. Okay, will not be carried away by their logic because you have understood it very properly. Okay, the last part of this, one minute. Okay, and the refutation of the tattvas. Okay, हाँ, अन्य मत के कहे. Okay, so other faith, it is other faith only, non-Jain faiths only. अन्य मत के कहे तत्व आदि का निराकरण. Okay, so what is mentioned in other faiths? Okay, so if you understand this properly, you can take the correct decisions. Okay, otherwise you will remain confused. So by the study of this Dravyanyog Shastras, various types of notions and thoughts arise, and their knowledge is acquired after great efforts. Hence, one should not study them. This is the argument given by the person who is having a doubt in his mind, and now the Todarmalji is giving him an answer. Knowing something in detail is more effective than knowing it in general. Okay, it is always there. When we study one particular topic from different references, we get a very fair idea of that particular substance, and that we do in academics also, right? Subhaji, you do that only, right? You give so much of references students that students have a very clear conception about that in his mind. So knowing something in detail is more effective than knowing it in general. More and more one goes into details, greater and greater clarity and purity about the nature of the substances is attained. Faith becomes firm, attachments etc. are reduced. Therefore, it is justifiable to study these Dravyanyog Shastras. Thus, by misconjectures about all the four yogas, one should not be averse towards their study. Each exposition has got its own importance at that particular time, and that you cannot avoid it at that point of time. Okay, so study the scriptures, form a habit to constantly study. The word here was constant study. Okay, so Dravyanyog can be properly perceived by constant study. So we need continuance of this, and once if you are doing it on a regular basis, then things automatically come to your mind. So this is a very good way of doing studies. Study every day, 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever time you get. I study around 12 hours a day, either reading the scriptures or thinking about this, contemplating, or finding something for research. Okay, and I enjoy it thoroughly. And I feel that there is nothing great creativity than understanding the scriptures. Okay, so this is the most creative thing. Now, the new topic, utility of the study of books on grammar, logic, etc. This has been discussed earlier, that if you have much time, You can indulge in the study of books on grammars, logic, etc. But if you have limited time, then it is better that you study the religious scriptures only and don't spare your time after study of this. But again here it is repeated in the context of this 4 exposition. So what we have studied there was in the first chapter, and now we run the 8th chapter. So this is also here mentioned that there are some books on grammar, logic, etc. by written our acharyas. So that should be read only when you have enough time for that. Okay. Otherwise, you read the purposeful scriptures like Dravyanyog, where you are going to manifest the right belief and you can start your path of liberation. So, small 2 paragraphs. We will read this also. Sasikala ji, you read.
Utility of the study of that you have finished,
Yes, yes.
Removal of seemingly, that I'll
Yes,
read,
yes.
Removal of seemingly contradiction.
No. This
Ah.
you read this 2 paragraph of utility of the
Okay,
study.
okay. Utility of the study of books on grammar, logic, etc. There are books on grammar, logic, etc. One should study these shastras also in smaller or greater measure, because without their knowledge, the meaning of the higher shastras is not properly perceived, and the clarity which is obtained about the nature of the substance with the help of the knowledge of this grammar, logic, etc., that degree of clarity is not obtained through the knowledge of ordinary language, etc., only. Hence, knowing these traditionally useful, one should study these also, but should not get entangled in their study. After gaining their basic knowledge, one should devote himself in the study of purposeful shastras and books on medical science, physiology, etc. have no role to play in the liberation path. Therefore, if in the ordinary course with the object of conventional religion, their knowledge is obtained, then one should do good to others but should not indulge in sinful acts. And if their study is not done, there is no harm. In this way, knowing the Jina scriptures to be faultless, one should believe in their preachings. Next.
So
Removal.
wait. Let me
Okay.
explain this, okay? So the last line, the second last line, okay? And if their study is not done, there is no harm. So we come to this conclusion that if you have time, you can indulge in studies of grammar, logic, medical science, whatever, and many acharyas only have written books on this grammar, logic. Then we have this books on astrology. Then we have books on medical science, biology by Jain acharyas, but they had some past impressions about that and they had enough time with them. So they studied that and they wrote scriptures for the benefit of the people at large. But if we have limited time with us, then we should only study the purposeful shastras. Okay. So this was it. Now the next topic, removal of seemingly
Excuse me, Ji. Just put me as co-host. I'll share the screen.
Pardon?
You put me as co-host. I'll share the screen, Ji.
You will become a co-host?
Yeah, you put me as co-host. I'll
Okay.
share the screen.
I think Darshit ji has left, no? Okay.
Yeah.
It's having network issues. Thank you, Subhaji. I was looking at my own PDF copy. I couldn't find it all this while for the moksha mark. But if
No,
you
but
have it open, please.
no, I'm having
Page
the book.
419.
No, I'm reading from the books, no problem. That's why.
Okay.
I'm having the copy.
Sorry, I
Removal
didn't
of-
notice that Darshit ji has gone offline.
Yeah, anyway.
Okay. So the next topic is removal of seemingly. Okay. It is not the fact. It is just seemingly contradiction among अनुयोग्स. अनुयोगों में दिखाई देने वाले परस्पर विरोध का निराकरण. Okay. So removal of seemingly contradiction among anuyogs. So there are 5 points. Okay. A, B, C, D, E. And each has got again subdivisions. So A has got 3 divisions, B has got 6, C has got 7, D has got 3, and E has got 4. And that is the last topic on this, and then we will end this chapter, but it's going to take time, maybe 2 weeks more. Okay. So we will study the A part today. There are 3 subpoints. I'll just mark the points. So the A starts from the beginning, and wherever the description is found is first point, A1. Okay. Then the next page you can see further in one and the same anuyog. That is the second point. Then leaving one paragraph further with reference to different disposition. This is the third point. Okay. So we will be covering A today, and then we'll start with B from next week. Okay.
Removal of seemingly contradiction among anuyogas. Now this seemingly contradiction, what is that you are told in that Hindi word? Nirakar, Nirakar.
अनुयोग में दिखाई देने वाले परस्पर विरोध का निराकरण. So there is no virodh, but it seems that there is a contradiction. Actually, it is not, because if you understand the perspective, then everything is justified. Only thing is that if you don't understand the perspective, then you said that Dravyan Yoga says that soul does not eat anything, and Charnan Yoga says eat pure bhojan. So why this contradiction? Because both have different methodology of presentation. So you should know the methodology of presentation of each exposition to understand its inherent message. Okay. So if you don't understand that, then you will find that there is so much of contradiction in Jainism. That's why I don't study. But no, there is never a contradiction. All the expositions complement each other. Okay. Now you have to just see the perspective from from the perspective from that it is being said. Okay. Srimadji said one thing. જ્યાં જ્યાં જે યોગ્ય છે ત્યાં સમજવું તે. Okay. So whatever is being said, you understand it from that perspective only. Okay. Then only you are a true seeker. Okay. That is what Srimadji had said. So coming back to our discussion, you can start now. Yeah.
Removal of seemingly contradiction among anuyogas. Now the seemingly contradiction among anuyogs, which arises due to lack of understanding of different points of views, is being removed here. Point 1. Wherever the description is found on the tradition of Pratamana Yoga, etc., anuyogas, the same should be known there as per his tradition. By knowing one Aniyoga statement to be different from the statement of another Aniyoga, one should not raise doubt. For example, at some places, the faultless true believer only is stated as not having doubt, worldly desire, disgust, etc. But another places, the rise of fear is stated up to 8th Gunasthana, of greed up to 10th, and of disgust up to 8th Gunasthana. These should not be known to be contradictory. There is the absence of intense doubts, etc., in a true believer because of right belief. Chiefly speaking, the true believer does not have any doubt, etc. From this point of view, in Charnan Yoga, the doubts, etc., are described to be absent in a true believer. But from the subtle power point of the view, the rise of fear, that is quasi-patience, rise of fear, etc., that is quasi-patience, is found up to 8th, etc., Gunasthana. Therefore, in Karnan Yoga, their presence is stated up to the stage. In the same way, one should know elsewhere. Shall I continue?
Yeah, 3 lines more.
Okay. Earlier, many examples have been cited in the discussion of methodology of Aniyogas. One should know them or understand from one's own intelligence.
Stop. So you see, wherever the description is found on the tradition of Pratman Yoga, etc. So it is not only Pratman Yoga that it is being discussed. All the 4 expositions, okay? Pratman Yoga, etc. So etc. you have to add other 3 anuyogs also. The same should be known there as per its traditions. By knowing one's anuyog statement to be different from the statement of another anuyog, one should not raise doubt, because that will difference will always exist, because both the methodology is different. Charnaniyog talks from the point of view of conduct and Dravyaniyog talks from the point of soul. So there will always be a difference of opinion as far as statements are concerned. But if you look at it from the perspective from what it is being said, then there is no difference. Okay. So by knowing one's anuyog statement to be different from the statement of another anuyog, one should not raise doubt. For example, at some places, the faultless true believer, samyak drashti, okay, true believer, only is stated as not having doubt. Doubt, sanka. Worldly desire, kanksha, then disgust, vichikitsa. So samyak drashti ke 8 ang, So samyak drashti doesn't have these 8 flaws like shanka, kanksha, okay, disgust. All these 8 are not there in samyak drashti, okay, according to Charnanyo. But at other places, the rise of fear is stated up to 8th stage of spiritual development called Gunasthan, of greed up to 10th, and of disgust up to 8th Gunasthans. Okay. These should not be known to be contradictory. Why? Now you understand the perspective. There is the absence of intense doubt in a true believer. Okay. So when we say a true believer, samyak drashti, so he is not having doubt of the intense level, because that passion has already gone. Anantanubandhi kasai has gone. So Anantanubandhi doubt has gone. Anantanubandhi desire has gone. Anantanubandhi disgust has gone. All of Anantanubandhi level has gone. So Anantanubandhi level is being referred to as intense passion, Anantanubandhi, causing infinite bondage. That is Anantanubandhi. Passions causing infinite bondage. That has gone. Okay. So Anantanubandhi Kasai is gone. So there is no intense doubt. Okay. Chiefly speaking, the true belief does not have any doubt, etc. So etc. means all the 8 qualities you mention. Okay. Doubt, then we have desire, then disgust, shanka, kanksa, vichichikitsa, amud, then upguhan, sthitikaran, vatsalya, prabhavna. These are the 8 traits of a right believer. Okay. This automatically manifest in a right believer. Okay. So these are the outer, you can say, indication to recognize a right believer. Okay. Chiefly speaking, the true believer does not have any doubts, etc. All the 8 you can take up in etc. From this point of view, in Charnan Yoga, so we are, you have studied Chedala, right? So in there, these 8 names were given. Okay. 8 flaws. He is devoid of 8 flaws. Then you had also discussed 8 kinds of prides. Then you have also discussed the 7 types of fear. All these Samyak Drishti doesn't have. Okay. So you already studied Chadala under Vijalji, so you know all these. And if you have not studied it properly, you can study it now also. Every day you start studying individually. Okay. From this point of view, in Charnan Yoga, the doubts etc. are described to be absent in a true believer. But from the subtle power point of view, so there is no gross kind of doubts in a right believer. But from the subtle power point of view, Suksham Shakti, the rise of fear, etc., quasi passion is found up to 8th Gunasthan. Okay. Therefore, in Karnan Yoga, their presence is stated up to that stage. In the same way, one should know elsewhere. So there is just a difference in the perspective. Okay. So from what perspective it is being said, you have to accordingly realize the true meaning. Otherwise, you will remain confused. Okay. Now the second point. Further in one and the same Anuyog, Jinali, you read.
So 1 minute. So further in Charnani Yoga, right?
On page number, further in one and the same Anuyog, that is the second point starting.
Okay. Further in one and the same Anuyoga, from different points of view, different statements are found. For instance, in Karnanu Yoga, absence of recklessness, pramada, is stated in the seventh Gunasthana. There the passions, kashayas, are treated as subdivisions of recklessness and in pramadas. And in the same Anuyoga, the existence of passions, kashayas, is stated up to the 10th Gunasthana. One should not know such statements to be contradictory, because here under the pramadas, those kashayas, passions, which are caused knowingly in the form of auspicious, inauspicious dispositions, are included, and in the seventh gunasthana, such diversion of upyoga knowingly is not found. Therefore, their absence is described there. And from the viewpoint of subtleness of dispositions, etc., the same passions are described to be present up to the 10th Gunasthana. Further, in Charnanu Yoga, the renunciation of 7 bad habits like theft, adultery, etc., is described in the first Pratima, household's first vow. And there itself, the renunciation is described in the second Pratima. One should not sense any contradiction in this, because in 7 bad habits, such thefts, etc., are included, which cause punishment, etc., and are highly censured in public life. And in vows, such thefts, etc., are described to be renounced, which are against the householder's conduct and publicly also are treated to be bad. One should know such meaning elsewhere also.
Stop. So this is the end of the second point. So whatever Jina read was second point. So in the same Anuyog, okay, two different statements from two different perspective. So you should understand the difference. For instance, in Karna Anuyog, okay, absence of recklessness, pramad. Pramad, a better word is negligence, okay. So absence of negligence is stated in the 7th Gunasthan, okay. So from 7th, from up to 6th, the pramad is there, the recklessness is there. But beyond 6th, the recklessness is not there in Karnan Yoga, okay. There the passions are treated as subdivisions of recklessness, pramad. So you know pramad has got 15 divisions. You know, Subhaji?
Yes, sir.
What are the 15, you know, Sasikala ji? 4 kashai, 4 types of passions, krodh, man, maya,
Man,
lobh. Then 4 vikata.
Vikata. Okay. Rajakada.
Stri
That
kata.
one, Rajakada, that is
Deal
food,
agree, Muji.
political, then political.
Yes.
Rajakada, that
So
4.
what is vikatha in English?
Vikata is a band, not. Whose kathas?
No, these are gossip stories.
Okay, gossip. Okay.
Yeah. So Vikatha, 4 types of Vikatha.
Vikatha is Srikatha, the
Ah,
Rajkatha,
ah.
Srikatha, the food
So
about
these
the
4
politics.
kind of gossip stories is about Stree, that is a female.
Ladies.
Yeah, ladies. Then there is a Bhoj,
Food.
that is food.
Food.
Then there is Rashtra, that is
yeah.
political. And the last one is Chor Katha,
Sure.
about the thefts.
Theft.
Okay. So these are also a part of Pramad. 4 Kashai plus 4 types of Vikatha, then 5 senses. Okay. 5 sensual pleasures. These are also to be avoided. If this is there, then it is Pramad. So 4 plus 4, 8 plus 5, 13. Then 14th is sleep and snare, like. Okay. So these are the 15 types
15th
of
one is what? And the last one is forgot.
Last one is sleep, and the 14th one is sneh. Sneh means liking.
Okay.
Okay. Liking and sleep. So these are different divisions of Pramad. So absence of recklessness is stated in the 7th Gunasthan. There the passions are treated as subdivisions of recklessness, and in the same Anuyog, the existence of passion is stated up to 10th Gunasthan, because the greed is the last one to go in the 10th stages of spiritual development. Okay. And greed is also a passion. Okay. So somewhere it is mentioned as it goes in the 7th, and somewhere it is mentioned as 10th. So you have to know the difference from which perspective it is being said. Okay. One
so
should
that
not.
we have to say that Sanjulana Lope is going on 10th, other divisions going
Yeah,
in the
other as
other
well.
stages.
Yes.
Like that we have to understand.
Yes. Only the Sanjulan was left, and it has gone in the 10th. Okay.
10th, that is Sanjulana Lobe, last one is going in the last one.
Yes. And that's why Lob is called the father of all passions, because it goes at the end.
Yes.
That shows that it is very powerful. Okay.
Yeah, powerful and sticky.
Okay. One should not know such statement to be contradictory, because here under Pramadas, those passions which are caused knowingly, abhipray, okay, with understanding, those passions which are caused knowingly in the form of auspicious and inauspicious disposition are included, and in the 7th Gunasthan, such diversion of upyog knowingly, okay, is not found, because in the 7th stage you are engrossed in yourself. Okay. So where is the question of Pramad coming up? But Karnan Yoga will say, even if it is a very subtle one, it will say that it is there up to 7th. Okay. So just understand the perspective from what being is said. Okay. Pardon? Anybody is saying anything? Hello? Okay. So in the 7th Gunasthan, such diversions of upyog knowingly is not found. Therefore, absence is described there. And from the viewpoint of subtleness of disposition, the same passions are described to be present up to the 10th Gunasthan. So if you look at it from the very gross point of view, it is there up to 7th. Okay. And if you look at it from the subtle point of view, it is there up to 10th Gunasthan. So there is no contradiction. Only the difference is because of the subtleness and the grossness of statements. Okay. Further in Charnan Yoga, the renunciation of 7 bad habits, the 7 vices, okay, like theft, adultery, gambling, eating meat, eating alcohol, drinking alcohol, then going to a prostitute, then
Hunting also comes.
hunting,
Hunting.
okay, and then the last one is Pars 3-7, indulging in infidelity, okay. So that is also here. These are the 7 vices. So in Charnan Yoga, the renunciation of 7 bad habits like theft, adultery, etc., I mentioned all the 7 names, is described in the first Pratima. Okay. Householders first woe. Okay. So in the first Pratima itself, you are supposed to renounce 7 vices and adopt 8 mulgun. This is the basic requirement of first level of pratima. Pratima is steps of renunciation. Okay. And there itself, their renunciation is described in the second pratima. So in the second pratima, that is Vrat pratima. Okay. So in Vrat pratima, again these are all mentioned, but the difference between the first and the second is that in Vrat pratima, there are no flaws or blemishes. Okay. And when we are talking of 12 woes of a householder, it is with blemishes. The householder cannot avoid the blemishes or flaws. But when it comes to Pratima, it is at more higher stage, and there are no flaws also available. That means it is being observed in a very ethical and logical manner. Okay. One should not sense any contradiction in this, because in 7 bad habits, such thefts, etc., are included, which cause punishment, which are of very severe type, which cause punishment, etc., and are highly censored in public life. Censored means ninda, criticized, okay? Is highly criticized in public life, okay? And in wars, such thefts, etc., are described to be renounced, which are against the householder's conduct. Okay. So there is a difference between the two. One is of very high quality where you can be hanged also. Okay. And here it is just that the householder does not, these woes are something that an householder follows. Okay. From that perspective, it is being said. And publicly also are treated to be bad. One should know such meaning elsewhere also. So little bit of difference, but it makes a big difference as far as our delusion is concerned. And our delusion will not go away, so we will not become an enlightened soul. Okay. So we have to understand from which perspective it is being said. Now the third point, we will read it up. I will explain you the next time, because we have only 3-4 minutes left. Okay. So just read it, and the next time we will take it up. So Priyanka ji, you can read.
So from further with reference to
Yes.
further with reference to different dispositions, one and the same disposition is described differently. For example, at some places, the great vows, etc., are described to be subdivisions of charitra or conduct, and at other places, even an observance of great vows, etc., the Dravyalingi Muni is described to be incontinent or vowless. One should not know any contradiction in this, because along with right knowledge, the great vows, etc., are termed as charitra, and along with false knowledge, even an observance of vows, etc., one is incontinent or vowless only. Further, Vinay veneration is included in 5 kinds of mithyatva, that is false belief, also, and is described as one of the 12 penances or taps also. One should not sense any contradiction in this, because offering veneration to those who do not deserve to be venerated and treating this to be religion is called Vinay Mithyatva. But appropriate veneration of those who are venerable in the religious tradition is Vinay Tap. Further, at some places pride has been censured, and at other places it is praised. One should not see any contradiction in this, because for inspiring others to treat oneself as superior due to pride passion, if one does not pay reverence, etc., to others, then such pride passion is censorable only. And because of absence of greed passion, if one does not bow or feel inferiority complex, then such pride is praiseworthy. Further, at some places, cleverness has been censured, whereas at other places it has been praised. There is no contradiction in this, because under the influence of deceit passion, if one exhibits cleverness for cheating someone, then such cleverness is censurable only. but that cleverness which is exhibited in accomplishment of some act appropriately and judiciously is praiseworthy only. Similarly, one should know elsewhere also. Further, at some place, some disposition might have been censured in comparison to a superior disposition of the same type, and at other place, the same disposition might have been praised in comparison to an inferior disposition of the same type. One should not think this to be contradictory. For example, wherever a particular type of auspicious activity is censured, then one should understand that this has been done in comparison to a higher auspicious activity or pure passionless disposition. And where it has been praised, there one should know that this has been done in comparison to an inferior activity or inauspicious activity. So shall I continue?
Yes, two more paragraphs, small.
Okay. Further, likewise, some jiva might have been censured in comparison to some jiva of higher status. There one should not know him to be totally censurable, and some jiva might have been praised in comparison to some other jiva of lower status. There one should not know to be fully praiseworthy, but should know his merits, demerits appropriately. Similarly, one should understand the meaning of various preachings from the viewpoint from which they have been described.
Stop. So this is where the third point ends. Okay, A third. Now the next class we will be starting from B further in the Shastras, and I will explain you the third point which is still pending. Okay, so here one word having different meanings in different context. Like they gave an example of word Vinay. So Vinay is also a kind of delusion. Vinay is also kind of penance, and Vinay is also a reflection. Okay, you know Sola Bhavna, Sola Karan Bhavna. In there, the second Bhavna is Vinay Sampanta. First is Darshan Vishuddhi
Darshana
Bhavna.
Vishuddhi.
Yeah.
Darshana Vishuddhi.
The second is Vinay Sampanta. So Vinay word is appearing at three places. It is one of the delusions among the 5 types of delusions. Okay. It is also a penance and it is also a bhavna. So you have to understand from which perspective it is being said. And if you it was being explained from the perspective of penance and you understand it to be from the perspective of delusion, then you will get the total wrong message. Okay. So at some places pride is censored. Censored means it is criticized, and at other places it is praised. So both the perspectives are different. From which perspective it is being censored, you have to know, and from which perspective it is being praised. So the causes are different. Okay. So this is something that we have to understand, and that we will clarify in the next class in the beginning, and then we'll take it further with B point, then C, D, E. Okay. So see you next week. If you have any questions, I can take up questions after we do the stuti and stop the recording, and then I'm ready to take up any questions if you have. Okay. निज निधि निज में बताई यह अनंत उपकार है उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है 9 times नमोकार मंत्र